gonna get into bed, you might as well get a little closer. How was your day today? Oh yeah? Oh man, that sucks. Yeah. It sucks when work is hard, isn't it? But you know what? I bet you did great today. I know you did the best you could. Now you're home with me. Isn't that all that really matters? So, you have any Valentine's gifts for me? It is Valentine's Day today. You didn't forget, did you? I got you something. No, it's not laying in bed with me. You can have that any day. I got you a box of chocolates. That's unromantic? I think that's plenty romantic. I even bought you a single rose to go with it. Well, that might be a you problem, you know? It's not really a me problem. What time is it anyways? 11:30. Oh man, they really were. That's overtime for you, isn't it? I'm sorry. Stop hogging the blankets. I want more. It's cold tonight. So, you never answered my question. You're just dodging it, huh? You just dodging it? What'd you get me for Valentine's Day? Oh? You'll let me talk about anything I want to? That's your gift? Something tells me you just forgot it was Valentine's Day, you know? But okay. I guess if that's my gift, I'll have to take it. So, anything I want to talk about, huh? And you'll just listen? Okay. What do you wanna hear about? That's not how that works. Come on, if you make me pick, you're gonna get bored, you're gonna fall asleep. No, I'm gonna fall asleep, maybe. You just wanna fall asleep to the sound of my voice? That's kind of rude. You ask about what I want to talk about as my Valentine's gift, and then you say you're just gonna fall asleep to it? That's kind of a cruel joke, isn't it? But okay. You ever heard about Toho? No, it was a huge hobby of mine back in the day before I met you. But basically, it's like this game series, you know, made by one guy called Zune. And we're not gonna talk about the games themselves because that's just a shooter game, so there's like not much to talk about. But in terms of the story, there's quite a lot to cover. So we'll start by saying that this is a game about yokai, right? And yokai are Japanese folklore, like mythological beasts, right? Like when you shout into the Grand Canyon when it echoes back at you. Back then, they didn't believe it was like science and sound waves, but like some like beast in some Kyobani or whatever, Chobani yogurt. No, some like Kyodashi, I believe it was, that like shouted it back at you and would run away whenever you got close to it. Real cute stuff. Anyway, so as like science was coming around, people started to believe less and less in yokai, right? And so some very powerful yokai decided they needed a place to live and survive. So they created just think of it like an invisible Jujutsu Kaisen field thing, right? Like a barrier, like a pocket dimension in our world, in like some part of rural Japan. And a great yokai, powerful yokai, They made a barrier so that no one could get in or out unless they had extreme power or methods. And they put humans in there too, so that, because yokai live by feeding off fear, right? They live off fear. If no one fears the yokai anymore, they'll die off from existence. So they created a human village, basically, so that they could always have a source of fear. Anyways, let me think some more. Right. So then they established the barrier based on this one dumpster shrine they found in the backyards of wherever. And right, so the shrine maiden would be responsible for making sure the barrier was intact, so it stayed in place, because people from outside aren't supposed to go in, because they would walk in and get eaten alive by some random yokai, which is not a great way to go. So they need a shrine maiden. So this, currently, our shrine maiden's Reimu. We know there's been past shrine maidens, but they've never been expanded upon in the lore. But so things were going well. People were just, yokai and people were just living in whatever harmony you call harmony. But then there was this vampire incident, because a vampire came to get in Tokyo. It's probably guessed that she just barged her way in, and she just started wrecking house, because our beliefs about vampires make them really sort of stupid powerful. But basically all the yokai complain like, this is kind of unfair. So Reimu and one of the great sages, who we'll get to in a bit, created the spell card rules. And basically now anyone could fight on equal terms, technically speaking. I mean, if you were still like generally more powerful than the other person, yokai, you'd win, of course. But spell card rules just made it so a vampire couldn't dash at you at 50 miles per hour and beat you up before you could blink. It's basically like that. So then that was established, and then that vampire, whose name is Remelia, decided it'd be a funny idea to cover the whole sky in red mist, so that she could walk around during sunlight. Yep, she's a villain because she did that. Anyways, Reimu and this other girl, who's called Marissa, who is a human magician, they both set out to beat up Amelia. If you're wondering why Marissa went out of her way to do this, who knows? Probably just to check out stuff, for fun. I think she does a lot of things for fun. But so they go out, and it's not really explicitly stated whether they do this together or if like only one gets to the final boss, which is Remelia in this case. But they eventually both beat her up, Remelia up, and on the way they meet Sakuya, who is a time-stopping maid and is explicitly a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Dio reference. Good on Zune for that, I guess. But she's important later because she's human, and if you're a human, you have relevance in this story. After they beat Remelia up, Remelia is like, okay, I guess I'm beaten Onyo, and she clears away the mist. And then they beat up her little sister too for fun. Fonder, I don't actually know how to pronounce it. They just do it for fun, if we're being honest. Like, it's really just for fun. So next is Toho 7, which I'm trying my very best to remember. It's Perfect Cherry Blossom. This actually introduces some very important characters. So now there is an eternal winter going on. Someone has made it so spring never comes and winter lasts forever. So Reimu, who by the way, if you couldn't tell at this point, is just literally here to make sure to beat up people who cause incidents. All these games are called incidents because they're just people causing incidents in Gensokyo. So Reimu, Marissa, she's coming along again for fun, and this time Sakuya from the last game. I'm pretty sure Amelia, or Sakuya's boss, just said to go and beat someone up, so she's doing that. Anyways, they go out and they meet this ghost lady named Yuyuko and her gardener slash bodyguard named Yomu. And well, to put it simply, Yuyuko stole all the spring to try and revive this eternally dead cherry blossom tree to see who was dead beneath it, which is implied to be her own corpse, because again, Yuyuko is a ghost. She's like the mistress of the underworld, so she's not like some just random ghost. But yeah, they beat her up, and they beat up that gardener too, Yomu. She's important because she's half human, and again, if you're half human, or even human at all, you have relevance. But then, once they're done beating everyone up, they go out, but they realize the border between reality and like the netherworld, where Yuyuko was, because she's a ghost again. I say that, but she can come into the normal world of Gensokyo anytime she wants. But they realize like the gap hasn't been closed, so they go back in to see why. And first, they beat up a bodyguard, and later they beat up the bodyguard's owner, which is Yukari, who is one of the great sages who founded Gensokyo. And I'm pretty sure it's stated that she just... Actually, no, she was just sleeping. She just hibernates. Whatever, the point is, right? They meet Yukari, which is very important because she becomes a pivotal character later on. Yeah, they beat her up. She might let them win because every character has like a certain ability that's like special to them. Like Reimu's is the ability to float, that's why she can fly. Not through magic, but just through godly magic, not through like Western magic. And Marisa's is the ability to use magic because normal humans can't really use magic, but she's really good at it for no particular reason. And Sokka has to stop time and everything. Amelia's was see fate. Yuyuko was controlled spirits, maybe. And Yomu's was the stupid one of the ability to master any sword technique, I believe. Maybe that was just from like a doujin though. Anyways, Yukari's ability is the ability to like define borders between anything. So like it's really complicated, but she can make gaps to anywhere she wants because she changes the border between here and there, like the meta concept of here and there. So we don't know what she could do, because if you can change the border of anything, like here and there, which are two very broad concepts, and change that, like could she like change day to night just by meshing together, by removing the border between day and night, you know? Could she kill anyone by removing the border between life and death and put them into some weird like necrophantasia kind of thing? Who knows? But anyways, after that we get to Toho 8, Imperishable Night, and now someone has made the night go on forever. I'm seeing a lot of reoccurring themes with the go on forever. First they make winter go on forever, now they make the night go on forever. But now in this game everyone goes in pairs, so it's Reimu and Yukari. Yukari's not inherently bad, by the way, but she just does what she wants, so sometimes she helps. Sometimes she's the enemy. It's kind of hard to tell with her. She's the mastermind behind a lot of things, but it's Reimu, Yukari, and Sakuya, and Vermilia, and Marissa, and some random magician named Alice that you don't really need to know. She's not important. And Yomu and Yuyuko. They all go in pairs, and they all go beat up whoever's causing the eternal night. And they meet the person who is a resident from the moon. She's an alien. Her name is Kaguya. She's literally from the tale of like the princess and the bamboo cutter. She is the Kaguya, and she's called the Eternal Night. I actually don't remember. For fun. I think it's just because she missed home or something, some dumb sentimental thing like that. They beat her up. I'm sure you're getting the plot of the series by now, but they also meet. Actually, is that character important? Sure, she's important enough. They also, after they beat Kaguya up, Kaguya holds like this trial of guts for funsies. People of Gensokyo just like to do stuff for funsies. And they go and it's like, okay, beat up this eternally living human. And so they meet this girl named Moku, who's immortal because she drank the elixir of like immortality, and she can literally never die if she wanted to. She would just be reborn. But they beat her up. I don't actually know if she's important. She is technically human, but it's not like you can play her yet. That's a yet though. She is human though. You think they would make her playable one time? They have made her. Oh, whatever. We'll get to that later. Okay, after that, that was 9. We have Toho 10. Did I skip one? Wait, Toho 6, Toho 7 was Perfect Cherry Blossom. Toho 8. I think I skipped over one. The one I told you about might have just been Toho 9. Toho 8 then would have been Phantasmagoria Flower View. But I can't seem to remember. No. It was definitely 8 was Imperishable Night, and then 9 was POFV, and then 10 was Mountain of Faith. Okay. To be honest, I don't really know 9. 9 wasn't important because nothing happened. It was just something that Reimu like misunderstood. Cause like every like 500 years or something, like people, like the souls of the people who die in our world, that what we will call the outside world to Gensokyo, their souls will go into the netherworld where Gensokyo is, or at least part of. And so a bunch of flowers will bloom. A bunch of like the red spider lily flowers which represent death will bloom. And Reimu was like, that's wacky wild, I'm not doing that. And so she went out and everyone beat everyone up. That's not even a joke. It's just everyone beat everyone up. There's no important characters to mention. They're not reoccurring. But now we get to Toho 10. And in this one, there's a god named Kanako who is from the outside world, but she was realizing she was losing faith in the outside world because no one really believes in gods, Shinto gods anymore. So she was like, okay, I heard about this place called Gensokyo. I'll check it out, get some faith. So she moves over, plops her shrine down, and sends her descendant, Sane, to go destroy Reimu's shrine as a show of authority. And Reimu's like, what the hell? So then she and Marissa, because Marissa's just coming along for fun, I think you can see a pattern. Reimu's like the actual MC, Marissa's player 2 here first. She comes along for fun, and if you want to play a character that gives more firepower forward, more danger. But they both go out, and they beat up everyone again. They meet a Tengu named Aya. She'll come again later. She's a photographer. That's it. She's relevant later, I swear. But they beat up Kanako and Sane, and they're both like, okay, we're sorry. We'll just put a small shrine right next to yours so that we can gather faith on the side. And Reimu's like, okay, I don't care, whatever. Reimu does not care about her job, by the way. I think if it were up to her, she could just like drink tea all day and do nothing and live a life of hedonism. But it is her job to fix incidents and make sure the barrier's okay, so she just like reluctantly goes out and does stuff. Let's see. I think I skipped over a few things. I definitely did. I definitely skipped over Silent Sinner and Blue, and Cage of Lunatic, Renegade or whatever. Those aren't really important though. Should I mention those? I guess I'll mention those. Okay, so Silent Sinner and Blue, right? This was after 8, Imperishable Night. So it's the last one we talked about, basically. Not not Phantasmagoria Flower View, because we skipped over that, but like the one of Kaguya and the moon. But basically, Yukari is thousands of years ago, she launched an invasion of all the yokai on the moon, because on the moon are the moon people, right? That's where Kaguya came from. And the moon people are like a highly advanced civilization. They live on the dark side of the moon. In other words, the side of the moon that we humans can't see at night. And then she and the yokai failed because the Lunarians are too good. But then this time she's like, it's time to go for it again. So she gets Reimu to do some dirty work, and she gets Vermilia actually from the first game 6 to do some dirty work, and they somehow manage to build a rocket that is powered entirely by Shinto faith and gods. But yeah, they shoot a rocket to the moon. And Yukari, of course, is not in the rocket, but she just makes a gap in space to the moon through some very complicated methods that raises a lot of questions on what her power scaling is and her power level, but won't talk about that. So Reimu and Vermilia and Marissa and Sakuya, they all go to the moon for a fun journey, and they get beaten up by the Lunarians because the Lunarians are OP. But then the Lunarians figure out that they've just been like bait for Yukari, so they're like, okay, just have some tea, we'll send you back home. But secretly, while they're getting beat up and talking about tea or whatever, Yukari has stolen like sake from the moon, and then when she comes back on Earth, Yukari, with the sake, she gives it to Kaguya's servant, who is freaked out by this because, wowee, that's a hard task to do. And now I think about it, this wasn't really important, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it helps you understand more of what Yukari's motivations are, which is scaring the people of Gensokyo who are new into folding into the established power structure, and also shows off what Reimu can do when she really tries, which is summon like 5 gods at once, or something like that to power a rocket. Okay, now that that's done, we stopped at Toho 10, Mountain of Faith, so now we're on Toho 11. Okay, from this point on, some of the games will actually interlink with one another, which is cool, because before they had nothing to do with each other except some of the boss characters would be main characters in other games, like how Sakuya was a boss in Toho 6 but became a playable character in 7, 8. Anyways, Toho 11, Subterranean Animism, SA. Basically, Kanako, she wants power, but not like I'm the king and the people are my power, but like I want to build a nuclear reactor power, so she gives the sun god, like Yagateratsu, to this hell crow, because there's a hell in Gensokyo named Oku, right? And she gives her that so that she can like power her nuclear reactor or whatever, or keep the nuclear reactor in check. It's something like that. She gives a dumb bird nuclear powers, basically. That's all you need to know. And the bird starts going out of control. So Oku's friend Orin, who is a cat girl, I know that's weird, but she's a Akashi, I believe it was called. I don't remember what it was, but it's a cat that takes away the dead and like eats their corpses. So it's not as cute as you might think, but depending on your likes, I guess. But she sends the cat Orin sends a warning signal to the surface to get Reimu and the others to come down. So Reimu and Marissa, who again is just coming for fun, I guess, go down, and guess what? They beat up the Hellcrow, they beat up Oku, they even beat up Orin, because why not, right? No, there was a better reason for that, but they just beat up everyone. There's a pattern here. They like to beat up people. So the day is saved. There's no one really relevant. Yeah, Koishi's not relevant. Satori's not relevant. Okay. the location's relevant though. The place where they go to, like the Lost Hell, which is like it's like some old hell, because there's the Netherworld and then there's like old hell, like how it used to be, I guess. It's where like exiled yokai reside. Like a lot of oni live there because they're too powerful, I guess. And they don't like people. Like they used to be friends with people and then the people betrayed them. You get the idea. It's not really relevant, just remember that place. And then after Toho 11 we have Toho 12, which would be UFO, I believe, unidentified flying object. And in this one, right, so since Orin, yeah, okay. Since Orin, remember the cat who sent the distress signal to Reimu and the others to get them to come to hell to stop Oku, whatever, sent up a signal, and Oku was out of control. Like geysers were spouting out of old hell into Earth, I guess, against Okyo, right? And in the old hell was this old palanquin ship that housed a bunch of Buddhists. I'm not joking. And then the geyser that came from Oku's nuclear outburst, however, spouted them up. And so the Buddhists in there were like, alright, it's time to shine. And they went to go find their leader, Byakuren. Yes, Byakuren. Who was a Buddhist monk who was like trapped somewhere sealed by magic because she was a previous human who was basically turned yokai through too much self-enhancing magic, and the people got afraid of her and revolted. But they go to find her, and it's not even an incident this time. Reimu and Marissa and Sane, who, if you remember, is she's the shrine maiden of Kaneko from 10, if that helps at all. But those three, they're just like, woo, a flying ship in the air. Let's go check it out. And so they check it out, and they beat up everyone on the ship, and they beat up Byakuren, and there was like no reason to do that. I think it's even stated that there was really no reason to do that. I think Reimu just wanted like the treasure on the ship because it would have gotten her money so she could like have more food because she's poor, because she doesn't work. So they beat everyone up. And then after that, they're like, okay, they all go their separate ways in peace. But then Byakuren and her Buddhist friends make their Buddhist temple on top of this Taoist mausoleum that awakens this prince called Toyosato Mimi no Miko. And she's like, what the heck? So she wakes up after like 10,000 years in slumber. And originally she went to bed like in the real world, but she was like such a myth in the real world that she turned into legend and a fictional character, a fictitious character, a fictional character. So she got teleported to Gensokyo. And she's like, okay, cool. But when she wakes up, like all like the divine spirits, because Miko's like a saint, right? Like a very powerful saint. So all the spirits in Gensokyo get riled up or whatever because they're like attracted to her. Not in that way, but you know, power. They're attracted to power. So Reimu and Marissa again, and maybe Sane. I forget if Sane came. No, it wasn't Sane. Sane didn't come. She had no reason to go. And Yomu, for reasons I won't get into, but they all went to beat up Miko. And guess what? They sure do beat up Miko. And Miko's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm just gonna like live my life now, trying to become a political dictator. And everyone's like, don't do that. And she's like, okay, I won't. I'll just live my life in a separate pocket dimension away from you nerds. Let's see. So that was 10 desires. I'm starting to get lost here. I'd like to say that next we have double dealing character. I'm trying to think if that's right. I'm pretty sure it was double dealing character. Okay, let's just say it was double dealing character. So, in double dealing character, right? DDC. Basically, a bunch of like the tools that Reimu and Marissa and like every character that we've met up so far, the tools that they use become like alive and sentient and start freaking out and getting more powerful. And Reimu and all the others are like, no, 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 this is no good. So they go out and they beat up a bunch of people. And then they meet this tiny little inchling girl named Shinmyo Maru. And she's doing it because this other, like, Amado Jako or whatever, whose sole purpose is to create chaos, named Seiha. Yeah, Seiha. Seiha convinced Shinmyo Maru to start like a tiny revolution, like a literal tiny people, tiny things revolution, tools revolution. So, she did that, and then Reimu beats her up. And then Shinmyo Maru's like, okay, cool, whatever. And Seiha like runs away to get beat up in her own separate game where people throw impossible spells at her. But she wins because she cheats. So she's that kind of character. Not important though. You don't need to remember her. In that case, after double dealing character, there would be... Oh yeah, I missed all the fighting games, didn't I? There's a couple fighting games in between all these games, but they're actually just not important. There's no lore that sticks around from fighting games, except there is. Because we're about to get to that, because after double dealing character is Urgent Legend in Limbo, right? And in this case here we have our almost first time of a human from our world, the outside world, coming into Gensokyo, because she's like a real psychic who has like pretty crazy abilities, Sumeriko. So she comes in and she's like, let's have some fun, and she starts all these like urban legends in Gensokyo that come to life, because Gensokyo is where fake things come to life or stay alive. And everyone's like, no, no, no. So they beat each other up until Yukari hatches a plan to, when everyone starts beating each other up, they somehow open a gap to the real world where everyone can start beating up Sumeriko. That was Yukari's plan, that's right. I don't know how that works, but they did that. And then everyone's like, actually, Sumeriko, you're pretty alright. You can like come over to Gensokyo by dreaming about it if you want. And she's like, okay, cool, I'll do that. But remember, Sumeriko started those urban legends, and they created these like occult balls, which have like links to like the moon and hell and Gensokyo for some reason. They're like little portals, right? And at this point, I really don't know the lore anymore, so I'm just going on what I know, which is not much. But now we have Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom, LOL-K. Hardest game, by the way, so I've heard. Never tried it. But basically, something's wrong on the moon. Like, this god, Junko, is like enraged and going off on it. And so Kaguya, if you remember, Kaguya's servant, who I'll give a name because she's important now, Aaron, right? Kaguya's servant from Toho 8, Aaron. It's like, okay, take this medicine and go to Sleepy Land and dream about going to the moon and beating her up, because that will beat her up in real life. And they're like, okay. So they go that, and they beat up a god. I don't know how Marissa, the human magician, is beating up a god, but she's just that good. When it comes to the spell card rules, she's just that good. I think if like there weren't spell card rules, Marissa would be dead. But they beat her up. They beat up Junko. And then they beat up this like Hekatia, which in Greek is like something related to hell. She's like, I don't know what she is actually. She's like, she has something to do with hell. She might be like its ruler. She might be like its overseer. But yeah, they beat up two very important gods. And around this time, there would be the relatively important manga series that I forget the name of, but is Lotus Flowers, I believe. I actually don't remember. How important is that manga, anyways? It's Wild and Horned Hermit. Now that I'm thinking of it. What? Yeah, it was Wild and Horned Hermit. It wasn't that important. It just introduced one character. Didn't really go off on a whole lot of exposition for lore. Just showed slice of life. No, we can skip that. Okay. So after LOL-K, we had Hidden Star in 4 seasons, right? And this one was on... Remember how I said Yukari was one of the great sages that founded Gensokyo? Well, another one of the great sages was in the manga. One of the protagonists in the manga that I said that we would skip over because it wasn't important. So that's two of the four great sages. And now in Hidden Star Four Seasons, now we meet the third of the four great sages, Okinamatara, who is possibly more powerful than Yukari. We don't know Yukari, but she's very powerful. But she basically starts changing the seasons. Everyone in Sokyo. That's it. But it freaks everyone out because it's an incident. So Reimu, Marissa, and Aya, if you remember that for some reason, I'm very impressed if you remember Aya. But they go out along this stupid ferry named Cerno that I'm sure you've heard of if you played OS and played Cerno's strongest perfect math class, but that's not important. They go out and they beat up Okina, yeah. And when they ask her why she did it, it's because Okina just wanted people to remember that she's still alive, because she is a secret god. She doesn't partake in a lot of things, but she's all powerful, and she just needs people to be reminded that she's around and could mess things up and rock your world if she wanted to, I guess. As the kids would say, that's very based. Anyways, after Hidden Star 4th season, we have Wily Beast and Weakest Creature, Wabwag, WBWC, WBAWC. Let's see, Yomu, Marissa, and Reimu. People in Gensokyo are starting to freak out because animal spirits from hell are starting to come up and take over people. And when yokai have their souls taken over, they actually kind of just die. So people, not a good thing. So Reimu and Co, they go down to actual hell, not like the Oni of the hell bird, Oku hell, but the real hell. Check it out. And there's this god of creation named KK, who is starting an animal revolution because they've been trapped in hell for so long, and she wants. Actually, no, there's like an animal city in hell and like some other population in hell. If you can't tell, at this point my lore is starting to become really spotty. I need to catch up. Not catch up, but take a quick review. But she basically she's starting an animal revolution, right? And well, the protagonists beat her up, but only thanks to the help of the animal spirits who take over Reimu and Co. and help empower them. So that's kind of wacky. And then after that we have Gokyo Ibun, which comes directly after Wily Beast and Weakest Creature, but it's not a main game, it's a spin-off game. Where basically there's this Yuma, or like Yugetsu. It's like this beast that like can eat anything and everything. Very dangerous. But she's in hell, right? And Okina notices this. And since this is gonna get wacky, right? But since natural oils, like natural gas and petroleum and stuff, is starting to become like a myth in the real world because of the rarity it's getting. It's starting to appear in Gensokyo, I believe. And Yuma. Oh shoot. Yuma. Okay, so Yuma is this beast called like the Tatoi, right? That can eat anything. And Okina notices Yuma eating up gas and regurgitating it as like hell blood, which is really bad. And she's getting more and more powerful and can't be stopped if she keeps eating gasoline, which is funny in a way. So Okina, not Yukari, but Okina. So we have two very manipulative great sages now. Manipulates like 18 people. They're going down beating her up, only just to get a character from the first Toho game, Toho 6, Flandre, Remilia's sister, to go and beat her up, because Flandre has the OP ability as a vampire to destroy anything. That's just her stated ability. It's very OP. But yeah, they beat up Yuma in the end. Even Reimu can't beat up Yuma, which is a big surprise in the Toho series, because Reimu beats up everyone basically, and she's never lost until this game. But now after this game, now after Gokyo Ibun, we have Unconnected Marketeers, UM. This one is now we're back on like random incident track. Before it was all like somewhat connected. Now it's all random again. There's this market god named Shimada. Since the real world doesn't have markets anymore, it just has Amazon and stuff. Very political Zoom, by the way, but now Shimada's like in need of actual markets, so she comes to Gensokyo, and she starts like dealing cards and selling cards, which contains people's power, but like, you know, some stupid human getting like the power of a god is not a good thing. So, guess what? Reimu and Marissa and Sane, maybe Sakuya, maybe all four of them. I think it's all four of them. They go beat her up. Can you believe it? And yeah, that's where we're at. There's also Black Market, which is the spin-off game right after Unconnected Marketeers, but I really don't know what's that about. I haven't even checked it out in the slightest, I'll be honest. Look, all I'm saying is I missed like a lot of the characters, and I missed a lot of the fighting games and a lot of the mangas. I missed so much, and this was only a small part of Toho. And you could look up every character, and they all have their own yokai lore from based on original yokai, their own cool powers and stuff. So you know what? You should go check it out. What time is it now? 12:45. You still awake? No? Well, I guess you really did go to sleep. I guess I'll go to sleep too. Man, my throat hurts.